Sir, my screen is visible to you.
Yeah, it is visible.
Actually, today's topic is on EV charging infrastructure.
Yeah.
Actually, this is a sequel of a paper which I recently circulated.
Yeah.
And the backdrop of the lecture is that the government slowly is trying to phase out petrol and diesel vehicles.
Correct.
And is encouraging more of electric vehicles.
Yeah.
And this will be the trend in the coming years. So because, I was reading a report that a lot of money goes in importing gasoline to meet the petrol and diesel requirements.
Yeah.
And a lot of this gasoline is spent on the, is spent on mobility, that is two-wheelers, three-wheelers, then cars, normal cars, then buses, commercial transport. So most of the gasoline which is imported by India is going into these areas. And this is also denting our foreign exchange reserves. So with this in view, and with the advent of lithium batteries in the market, the government took a decision in 2015 to go in for electric vehicles in a big way. So here there are 2-3 aspects which are to be seen. First is that we can promote the use of electric vehicles by giving some initial subsidy in the price itself. That government is doing through various missions called FAME 1 and FAME 2. We'll be getting to them in a little detail a short while from now. So in short, the government is promoting the use of electric vehicles by reducing the price. Secondly is side by side, when it comes to the demand or the consumer, he is looking at how will I, charge these vehicles? How will I maintain the vehicles? Whether there are enough charging points or, charging points are not there and it will be a white elephant for me if I buy it. Just to give the things in proper perspective, the cost as on today of electric vehicles, that is Tata is the first to bring out a vehicle, in India, and Tata Nexon price is around 14 to 15 lakhs. And there is one Tata Tigor, which is slightly cheaper at around 11 lakhs. So compared to comparable CNG or other vehicles which the middle class people are using, this is a high price one as on today. But at the same time, cost of maintaining the vehicle, that is, charging and running it, is quite low. That is, per month, it has been estimated that if a family uses 1,000 kilometers, then there will be a saving of 76,000. Okay, so there is a saving also, no doubt. And, the vehicle adoption will bring less pollution, to the atmosphere. So that way it will be beneficial. But the issues which need to be seen is, first is what are the components for setting the charging infrastructure, whether enough charging infrastructure or charging points or, public charging facilities are available in India or not. What the government is doing for setting up such facilities. What are the types of facilities which can be set up considering the usage of electric vehicles? What is the market position of the sale of electric vehicles vis-a-vis conventional vehicle? What are the various incentives which the government is offering in this area, both for making the sale of vehicles faster and of building the necessary infrastructure. So we will, as we go through, we will discuss these points. Is this graph visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now here I have shown how the sale of electric vehicles as on today compares with the sale of normal vehicle. So if you compare this year 2020-21, recent year which has gone by, you will see that in the region of 2 crores, 2 crores is the sale of all vehicles, and amongst 2 crores, only around 1,20,000 electric vehicles have been sold. This includes all type of vehicles. So it is even less than 10%. It is 7 or 8%. So the penetration of electric vehicles in India is yet to take up. It is not very encouraging as on today. But government has taken some initiatives, and it is expected that this figure will be around 10% by 2024, and as about 30% by 2030. These are the government targets. So if you see the graph here, the growth rate is quite high. That is, from 15,000 it has grown to 50,000. Okay, so it is quite high. Now, coming to the penetration segment wise, if we see, now here in this graph, we have got segment as 2-wheeler, then 3-wheelers, then 4-wheelers, 4-wheeler vehicles and buses. These are the segments. Now in 2-wheelers also, the major thrust is on the introduction of electric scooters. See, the government intends to electrify the mobility sector in phases. In phase 1, it is concentrating on 3-wheelers and electric scooters in a big way. Because, in the present scenario also, this segment, the number of vehicles in the conventional segment is very huge. And even in tier 2, tier 3 cities and other places, scooters and 3-wheelers form the backbone of transportation. So the government wishes to tackle this first. So if you see the electric vehicle penetration, it is going to increase by as much as 25 to 35% in this segment. So this is B2B, business to business, and B2 business to consumer segment. Now 3-wheelers also, here the government wishes to electrify in a big manner all the 3-wheeler autos which are running. They will be actually converted to electric autos, and government will give a lot of incentive for that. So if the cost of auto is around 1.5 to 2 lakhs, the government intends to give incentive to the extent of 40%. So much is the incentive. Then comes 4-wheelers, which is, in the personal segment is up to 15%, because it is felt that, phasing out in this segment will take some persuasion and will take some time. Because a person who has already bought a diesel and petrol car, he will not phase out his car very soon. Okay, so here he will think of personal charging, and many other factors will come into play. We will discuss slowly. So here, by 2030, it is estimated that around 15% of the vehicles will be electric cars, and buses also will be to the extent of 40%. Okay, here, it is in the public sector mainly, and, government can push its agenda for turning it into electric. Now, just to see, have a snapshot that in 21, only 1,33,831 vehicles had been sold, and majority are in the 3-wheeler and 2-wheeler segment. So what is the target of the government? By 2030, commercial vehicles 70%, private cars 30%, buses 40%, and 2-wheelers 80%. This is the target, electrification target of mobility set by the Niti Aayog of Government of India. Now let us see the present scenario. Of course, for the ecosystem to prosper, ecosystem, by ecosystem I mean the sale of electric vehicles, the many other OEMs also coming into the market, the vehicles being competitive in price vis-a-vis gasoline vehicles, and the charging infrastructure. All this ecosystem has to grow. Then only the sale of electric vehicle will also grow parallelly. Now, in the supply side, you have got availability of electric vehicles, no doubt availability, but also at a competitive price. I must add that. Demand side is adoption of the same by the consumer and development of charging infrastructure, which is not there in India at present. Or even if it is there, it may be there in major metro cities, and it is not very common to see charging point even in metro cities in India. So what are the barriers to entry? We have to analyze this. Barriers to entry, of course, is, there is a lack of charging infrastructure. Why so? Because at the moment, awareness is low. The petrol pump owners or the other players in the market feel that the penetration of electric vehicles do not warrant the setting up of a charging station, and that the traction is yet to come. That is, the sale is yet to pick up. Second is the long charging time. So in gasoline vehicle, you just go, to a petrol pump, and in just 5 to 10 minutes, the vehicle is filled up. But charging an electric vehicle is not so fast. If it is slow charging, there are 2 types of charging, which we will discuss. One is the AC slow charging and the DC fast charging. If you go for the DC fast charging, charging a battery requires DC power. So if you get DC power at the charging station, it means that the charging station has to be augmented. The cost of setting up the charging station will be much more, because you get AC supply, and AC supply has to be converted to DC, and then the vehicle has to be charged. So if it's a DC fast charging or DC power is readily available, then the charging, let's say, duration might be 1.5 hours. But if it is AC charging, that is, AC power is directly fed in the vehicle, and there is an adapter inside the vehicle which converts it to DC, and that charges the battery. That could take as much as 6 hours, right? So, there is a perception that after every charge, that is, one charge might give you around 300 kilometers. You will have to, again take the vehicle, wait for it to get charged, and then again go. Now, this can be eliminated in the case of 2 and 3 wheelers by having battery swapping. Okay, battery swapping stations where there will be no waiting time. That is, a similar battery will be kept charged there. You have to just, take away the discharged battery, put it there, and take away the charged battery in your vehicle. It will take the same time as now, which they are taking 5 to 10 minutes time. So this concept has to grow. Okay, then only, two-wheeler and three-wheeler sales of electric vehicles will grow. Of course, some vehicles for personal use, they can have their own battery charger at home, but that is on a limited scale. If you have one electric scooter, you can keep it on charging the whole night, and then next morning it is ready, then you can take it to office. That can be done through home charging. So there are so many ways of charging. It is not that every vehicle needs to go to a gasoline station for getting refill. So you can have, in the parking lots, there can be charging points. In government offices, like in Delhi, you have got big government offices. There you can have dedicated charging points. There can be charging plazas. So when it is not that vehicle is getting utilized 24 hours. No. Whenever the vehicle is idle, if sufficient infrastructure is there, then the vehicle can be charged up. Okay, because the charge percentage is always displayed on the dashboard of the vehicle, right? Third is the high operating cost. Okay, high operating cost would mean in this scenario when there is not much of penetration of the vehicles, the operating cost of a charging station will be high. This is a very common scenario. If you see the mobile phone, when it was introduced long back, 2 decades back, initial mobile phones had very few features and the cost was very high. So much so that when an employee used to get a mobile phone, it used to get it as a reward, right? So mobile phone was considered to be a status symbol. Same stage is now for, early adoption stage, I could say, for the electric vehicle in India. Discom load. So Discom load, although, we will discuss how the Ministry of Power has taken initiatives to, to charge the same tariff, for charging for the charging stations. Uncertainty related to utilization rate of charging stations. This is again a barrier. Many people are not coming forth due to this reason. Pace of development slow and not comparable to countries like USA, China. There the adoption is much rapid because government is early to take up the initiative. Here government has taken the initiative, no doubt, but much later after the present government took over and focus shifted to infrastructure. Lack of government approved standards for electric two-wheeler, three-wheeler. Okay. So, you have standards for petrol and diesel, but, you don't have power outputs standards because, the market has not grown. So, difficult to fix standards. End user preference for battery swapping and fixed rate of charge. So here the rate of charging varies from state to state because the tariffs are different, and the infrastructure costs levied by certain operators could be different. So there can be no uniform rate of, like in the case of petrol and diesel. Normally, generally, it is cost 600 rupees for a full charge, and in 600 rupees, you can drive up to 300 kilometers. Okay, then again, you have to get it recharged. This is just, some numbers which are very approximate. Okay, the final numbers will vary depending on the model, depending on the charging station, and so on. So here, if you want to study the market segmentation is quite dispersed. That is, there are no one or two major segments. Okay, in the case of, gasoline, you have got few segments. You have petrol also, you may have one or two types of petrol. You have diesel, you have got aviation fuel, few segments. But here, depending on the use, you have to, you have to break the segment, because here everybody does not go to a filling station to fill up. Okay, here the charging infrastructure is varied and it can take many shapes and forms. Let's see. First is charging requirement for commercial, that is four-wheeler, commercial four-wheeler, and private use. Now, in private use, there will be home charging. But for commercial use, four-wheeler, there will be public charging station. Okay. Charging requirement for commercial, passenger versus goods. Okay. Now, in the case of commercial four-wheeler passenger, there could be taxi services like Ola, Uber, or there could be some dedicated taxi services of major software majors like Infosys, Wipro. They are having dedicated taxis. So, those companies can set up dedicated charging stations in their premises for their vehicles, right? That will prove to be less costly because overheads will not get added as they are in the case of public charging stations. Similarly, in the case of goods, four-wheeler, it will be done at public charging stations. Then here also charging requirement for on-demand cab and staff transport. As I was discussing, if it's an on-demand cab run by a private taxi owner, he will charge the same at his home. Okay, and he will have home charging facility. But if it's a staff transport, then the charging infrastructure will be set in the office. Plug-in charging versus battery swapping. As you know, plug-in charging takes a lot of time. So if you have time in your hand, then you can give the vehicle for charging and go for some other work. Otherwise, the time will be lost by you. So second alternative is battery swapping. Battery swapping is easy in the case of three-wheeler and two-wheeler, where modular battery sizes are there. It can be easily interchanged. Of course, in the case of car also, if there is enough penetration, like for instance, if Tatas have a good penetration, then they can set up dedicated, charging swap, battery swapping stations on their own. Plug-in charging is further segmented into AC slow and DC fast charging. Now, just to tell you the difference between the two, AC slow charging is that, it is less costly to set up an AC slow charging station because you get the total AC power and that is fed into the vehicle, and there is an adapter which has to convert that into DC and charge the battery. So it is a slow process, but it is cheaper. It's cheaper to operate an AC charging station. DC fast charging, on the other hand, is that there is more cost to set up a DC charging station because you have to also set up the adapter. You have to buy an adapter, heavy duty adapter, which will convert the AC power into DC, and then it will go to the vehicle. But the charging will be fast. Okay. So both has got its advantage and disadvantage. So here there are some models. AC slow charging, we have got Bharat AC 001, DC charging also. So these are some of the types of charging available. This is a snapshot. You see type of charging, battery swapping, slow AC charging, fast DC charging, location. You can have cities and you can have highways. So, there is a move by the government to set up a slow charging station every 25 kilometer and fast charging station every 100 kilometer of highway. That, that direction has come from the government. Then the component we will just discuss in detail, but suffice to say that see, there will be a hardware component of the charging components, that is the adapter. Then there will be cables, there will be transformers for stepping down the voltage. So these components will be there. Then there will be a software. Software will be for maintenance and booking. Maintenance means that suppose you want to book a slot. So by that, the software helps you in booking the slot in the charging station, also in locating the charging station and billing, and further on billing the same on the consumer. So that is facilitated by the software. And this software also is linked to the mobile app. Okay, so you can have different apps, and from that app you can find out where the charging station is, what is the position. And end use, as we discussed, either it can be public, it can be commercial. Commercial means that it can be set up by a company, or it can be set up by the government for charging government vehicles, or it can be set up at home. So as I was discussing, components of EV charging infra are hardware. So there can be, various, normally they have got the charging guns. So normal charging station comprises of at least 6 guns. To install one gun, the thumb rule is it takes 20 lakhs. This is beside the land and other infrastructure costs. Okay. So maybe, if you consider only the charging infrastructure alone, it might cost you 1.2 crores approximately. And the land cost and the other infrastructure cost is separate. Software, which comprises of the central management system. This is a cloud-based backend software for managing the authorization, billing, rate of charging, and this is connected to a mobile application. And through mobile app also, you can automatically book your slot, and you can also do the payment. Okay, together. This is a schematic diagram. This is electric vehicle supply equipment. So here,
can you hear me, sir? So we are having
yes.
a meeting. So can you close this in 1 to 2 minutes so that we can go to other meeting, and probably we can schedule in a second phase or something. Yeah.
Okay. So this is, this is a communication, and this is the mobile app. Okay, this is the direct and alternate current. This is just a schematic diagram. Now I will close here. Of course, there are more details to be discussed, but this gives the snapshot of the, the government incentive and the government push. Now, first came actually the National E-Mobility Program, which, has a target of bringing in 30% of the vehicles electric by 2030. Here, there are 2 schemes, FAME 1 and FAME 2. FAME means faster adoption of faster adoption and manufacturing of hybrid and electric vehicles. This is one where, the allocation was around 300 crores and 795 crores was actually sanctioned. And now FAME 2 is there. FAME 2 has started and it is now valid till March 2024. It has got 10,000 crores allocation. This allocation is for 3 or 4 schemes. One is direct subsidy for buying an electric vehicle. And the direct subsidy ranges from about 40,000-50,000 in the case of electric two-wheeler, three-wheeler to 1.5 lakhs in the case of cars. Then there is total financing for setting up a charging station. Okay, here I feel if you have the opportunity for IPQC.
We will cover this after next second phase we will cover, sir, because detail. Okay. You will get sufficient time to cover this. So
it requires some time, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you, sir. Thank you for your time, and it's fantastic. You highlighted all the things like constraints and opportunities, and which segment is growing very fast, which segment is growing slow, government incentives and technology related. There are many factors goes into this. This is a very good, very informative, and we definitely will come back to you basically in the second phase. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, sir. So last time, wherever you left from there, probably you can.
Yeah.
This is taken from a survey, correct? Some report.
Yeah, this is taken from a report.
Okay.
And,
very nice. Lot of data is there. Very nice, sir.
Yeah. Okay, actually, in the last lecture, we were. I have discussed the position of EV penetration in India.
Okay.
And it is now even less than 10%. If you see the 2021 figure. So here the electric vehicles sold actually is in the order of 1,20,000. And here out of the total vehicles sold is in the region of 18 lakhs.
Yeah.
Is 1.8 crores. 1.8 crores somewhere.
Yeah.
So it is actually even less than 10%.
Yeah.
And the government actually is trying to make
not
it
even 10%. It's 1% only.
Yeah. So
if you take 1.5 crore, 1.5 means around 15 lakhs is a 10%. So
yes,
even less than that.
Even less than that. So electric vehicle penetration as of today is quite low.
Yeah.
Although there is quite a big growth.
Yeah.
It is a 168%.
Yeah.
Big growth is there.
Yeah.
So this big growth actually has come around because the government has offered some incentives.
Yeah, that FAME 1, FAME 2. Yeah.
FAME 1 and FAME 2.
Yeah.
So FAME 1 was up to 2019.
Yeah.
And FAME 2 has been given more budget.
Yeah.
And is extended up to 2024.
Wow.
So, in this, under this FAME 1 and FAME 2, briefly, I will discuss on the slide when I come. But briefly is that at the point of sale, subsidy is being offered to the vehicle, to the buyer.
Okay.
So in thumb rule, if you say If it is a vehicle of say 1 lakh and all, up to 40% subsidy is given. That is,
Okay.
1 lakh vehicle electric scooter will cost you 60,000.
Yeah.
Right? Under FAME 2.
Yeah.
Similarly, for electric vehicle also, you can get subsidy up to 1.5 lakhs.
Okay.
Okay, so this is being offered by the government to promote the sale of electric vehicles in India.
Okay.
This is one. Second big thing is that the for the charging infrastructure, public charging infrastructure, the government is giving full financing for that.
Okay.
Okay, so you have to go to the FAME 2 site. There are certain conditions to be met for getting the allocation for the charging center. And for such charging centers, full financing is available under the FAME 2 scheme. Right? So these are the two big things from the FAME 2 policy of the government.
Okay.
Now, if you see the penetration here, so here if you see in two-wheeler segment, penetration is what they have actually made the target. You saw that existing status. Now we are saying that overall 15 to 25% in two-wheeler segment, government is trying to bring around.
Okay.
And by 2030, this figure they want it to be 50 to 70%. That is, most of the two-wheelers gradually will be converted to electric. There'll not be any diesel or petrol. Not diesel. Diesel is not there. Petrol two-wheelers. Okay. So that will be done away with, because the two-wheeler, out of the total vehicles sold, the two-wheeler and three-wheeler segment is almost 60-70% and more. So this segment government wants to attack and convert to totally electric. Three-wheeler segment also 35 to 45%. Now here three-wheelers actually
very high
contribute a lot to the pollution.
Yes, correct.
Because in places like in Delhi and Mumbai, three-wheelers are contributing at the major contributing factor. So here government will go in a big way. Others like four-wheeler, it will be less, 5 to 10%, because conversion here will be difficult for the government. Because this is the personal segment, and here commercial can be 5 to 10%, but personal segment will be 1 to 3%. Because a person will not like to convert overnight into an electric vehicle, given the costs. The cost of existing cost of electric vehicle is in the range of 10 to 15 lakhs. Okay. So that in comparison to the existing petrol or CNG variant is 3 times around, approximately, because you have got vehicles which are being sold at around 4 lakhs also. So by Maruti. So the personal segment, it will be difficult for the government. So that will be maybe done later. So maybe by 2030 you will have the penetration. So here the sale figure is there for financial year 21. Go ahead. So target is commercial vehicles 70%. That includes buses, private car. Buses is a separate segment. Commercial vehicle here would mean the three-wheelers basically.
Small three-wheelers, cargo
all
vehicles.
Three-wheelers. All three-wheelers here is 80%. But commercial vehicle here would mean, I think, although nothing has been done by Tata Motors.
Three-wheeler cargo vehicles.
The trucks, basically the trucks will
mini trucks
which ply.
Yeah.
So here, this can be a very major, changeover.
Yeah.
Because they run on diesel basically, and
Yeah.
diesel is the most polluting fuel,
Yeah.
as you know.
Yeah.
And more than petrol, there was a ruling by High Court,
Yeah.
by the Supreme Court, that diesel cars should be phased out in 10 years, and petrol cars will be phased out in 15 years. And
Yeah.
that has been implemented in the National Capital Region, NCR.
Okay.
So with that in view, they have taken this policy.
Yeah.
So now, both, for bringing in electrification of the mobility sector in India,
Yeah.
two things are necessary. On the supply side, there should be adequate number of vehicles.
Yeah.
And in the demand side, there should be availability of the charging infrastructure. Both are important. Because a person will buy the vehicle only when he is assured that charging facility is available.
Yeah.
In the town or city where he stays or near to where he stays. So that that assurance has to be given to the customer.
Yeah.
Now, barriers are, at the moment, charging infrastructure is very limited.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a move, by the government that in 4 kilometer by 4 kilometer area, one charging station should be located.
Correct.
Similarly, every 100 kilometer of highway, one fast charging, center should be there, and every 25 kilometer, a slow charging center should be there.
Yeah.
So these rulings are there by different bodies. Ministry of Power, then Ministry of Heavy Industries, all have given this ruling.
Yeah.
Now, long charging times. This is a very big factor because electric vehicle, even with fast charging, takes 1.5 hours to 2 hours minimum.
Yeah.
And normally, the personal, those who own it for personal use, they can have home charging facility. Is desirable.
Yeah.
But if we are going to bring in electric mobility for commercial sector, that is for 3-wheelers in a big way, then this charging time has to be managed, and this can be managed by having charging stations with swapping, swapping facility. That is a standardization of the batteries, and the same batteries being made available in swapping station, where the vehicle can go and just in 5 minutes, you can just swap the battery and go out. So that is what is required to bring in, faster adoption of electric vehicles. High operating cost. Obviously, actually, the number of vehicles are low. So there is a certain cost for setting up the charging station. That is not being realized by the, because the number of the load on the charging station is quite low, because the lower number of electric vehicles are on the road. Discom load, sometimes in certain states, the power supply availability for charging the batteries, is quite unpredictable. So this Discom load has to be also maintained,
stabilized.
To cater to the additional requirements of charging station.
That is additional cost.
That is the additional cost. Actually, what will happen is that if the load is not there, the charging station will not function.
Work properly,
Properly. So the load has to be there at all times. I mean, the power availability at the charging station should be there at all times. But this is not there in all states. If you go to Bihar, if you go to certain other states like Jharkhand, you will not find that, that power is coming 24 hours.
There may be a lot of...
there may be a lot of variability in the power supply.
Correct.
So this thing has to be ensured. If you want to have quite a substantial percentage
Yeah.
of people, using electric vehicle.
Correct.
Then uncertainty related to utilization rates. Of course, this is there because of lower number of vehicles.
Yeah.
Pace of development slow and not comparable to countries like European Union, USA, or China.
Yeah.
Lack of government approved standards for electric two-wheeler, three-wheeler, as I was saying about the battery. So at least for the key component, which is the battery, the standardization has to be pronounced by the government and given to the OEM who is making the vehicle. Then only the OEM should be allowed to operate in India.
Correct.
Otherwise, if you have non-standard batteries, then, it will be difficult to manage the charging infrastructure.
Yeah.
End user preference for battery swapping and fixed rate of charge. Like, in petrol, normally the basic rate is fixed. Only thing which varies is the, the duties. Okay. That is the GST, which varies from state to state. So here in the battery station also, the fixed rate of charge per hour and all should be implemented. And battery swapping facility should be there to the extent possible.
Yeah.
Now here, you can segment the market for setting up the battery stations, charging stations. So there can be a commercial four-wheeler vehicle, private use versus commercial use. What does it mean? Commercial use means that, often, companies like Infosys, Wipro, and other software companies, they employ a fleet of vehicles for, for their staff. And that is, dedicated to the company. This happens where the software companies are there in NCR or Bangalore, for their staff to be dropped off at an inconvenient time. These dedicated vehicles are there. So when there is a commercial use, the charging stations can be set up in the premises of the office, like Wipro or Infosys. Okay, that facility is there. There is no separate licensing required for that. Only thing required is investment. Okay, maybe you may have to take, apply and take the load, additional load required for the station. But, land and other facilities are already available. So here, the segment is there of commercial e-charging station. Okay. Then for private use, it is recommended that you buy facility for charging at your house. It is better because in any case, it will take 1.5 to 2 hours, not less than that at the moment. So it is better to leave your vehicle for charging overnight or something like that and use it during the daytime. Then for commercial, again, commercial can have two segments, passengers and goods. Okay, so passengers can be linked to the office, and for goods, you require a public charging infrastructure, by the government. So public charging infrastructure can be used by anybody. There is no restriction on that. You just pay like a petrol filling station. So that, government is setting up under FAME 2 scheme, and we'll discuss more. Then charging requirement for four-wheeler, on-demand cab and staff transport. On-demand cab will be having personal charging station. Staff transport can have commercial charging station. Plug-in charging versus battery swapping. Plug-in charging will take time. Battery swapping will take no time. Now, plug-in charging also is segmented into slow charging and fast charging. In AC slow charging, the power directly from the charging station is AC, which is fed into the vehicle, and the vehicle has an inbuilt adapter which converts it to DC and charges it. So it's a slow process. But in AC charging, the cost of setting up the charging station is low. Whereas for DC fast charging, there is an inbuilt inverter in the charging station, which converts the AC power to DC and directly gives it to the battery inside the vehicle, bypassing the adapter inside the vehicle. So
Okay.
this is fast charging. And compare, if you take some thumb rule, slow charging will take 4 hours and fast charging will take 1.5 hours. Okay. And after this, you can run your vehicle for approximately 300 kilometers.
Wow.
And an approximate cost of this charging is around 600 rupees. Right.
Okay.
So now you have got some standards for this Bharat AC and DC charging. So this just I told you.
Okay.
So going ahead. So here, you see the segments like on type of charging, battery swapping, slow, fast charging,
Okay.
end use, commercial, as I told in the Wipro, Infosys, public and home charging.
Okay.
Then components are there. There's a hardware component. There is a software component, which is actually, the management system, which will help the user in booking the slot for charging and in billing and payments.
Okay.
And the charging stations can be in cities and in highways. So this is the total segmentation. Okay, of the charging infrastructure.
Correct.
Now, components are hardware. It contains the electric vehicle supply equipments, charge points, electric guns, etc. Software is the backend system. It's a cloud-based system. It manages authorization, billing, rate of charging, and this can be converted. This can be connected to your mobile application. Okay, so you can have an app, and the app through that you can book your slot, and also you can pay through that app. Here it is a schematic view. This is the electric vehicle charging infrastructure. Then this is electric vehicle supply equipment, EVSE, and central management system.
Okay.
So this is linked to the mobile app.
Okay.
And here there is an inverter.
Okay.
So if it is DC, then there is an inverter inside the vehicle which does the slow charging.
Okay.
But if it is AC, then direct fast charging can be done.
Okay. Vehicle comes with the inverter in the vehicle charging.
Yeah, normally all the electric vehicles are having inbuilt inverters. Depending on use.
Okay.
If you get a slow charging, then you can also use it. Or if you get a fast charging, you have the option basically, whether you want to go for a slow charging station or a fast charging station. It will operate in any type of charging station.
So we need to have two categories in a charging station, fast and slow.
Yeah, fast and slow, two types. So it all depends on the promoter. He
so
can keep two type of charging stations.
Okay, pricing is done on the basis of
pricing is done on the basis
speed.
of whether it is fast or whether it is slow. If it is slow, then price is low. Price of charging. If it is fast, then price is
but actually it blocks the space, time and space. It blocking the
time and space block. Yes.
So it is like how the charging is, how the amount they charge per hour or for whatever per
hour. Well, I don't know, but around 600 rupees is there.
Okay.
For 1.5 hours.
Okay.
Maybe around 30
so there
rupees,
should be
30
some
rupees per hour.
Some business model they start
yes.
they build some business model actually, something like
now
a space.
Actually all the charging stations are operating in an isolated fashion. There is no standardization. When sufficient number of stations are there, then there will be standard charging expenses, charging rates.
These are all standardized thing. These are all standardized equipment they use. Government approved standard code.
Government approved, but there are various companies which actually supply the charging station equipment. Various companies are there.
Okay.
So it depends on the company. There might be slight variation.
Okay.
Some may take 1.5 hours, some may take 2 hours, some may take 1 hour 15 minutes.
Okay.
So there is a slight variation depending on the model.
Okay.
So there is no standard thing as of now existing. Yeah.
Okay. Very nice.
So here, under the government schemes, you had one scheme starting in 2015.
Yeah.
So that scheme has been taken. There is an overall program of the government, National Electric Mobility Program.
Yeah.
So under this, FAME 1, they had actually 300 crores, but actual, 795 crores was spent in this.
Okay.
So again, the FAME 2 has started. So this is having a total outlay of 10,000 crores.
Oh, okay.
And 1,000 crore is for only charging infrastructure out of 10,000 crore.
This is till what?
This is still 2024. 31st
okay.
March 2024.
Okay.
So they will give under this subsidy for sale of three-wheelers, two-wheelers, electric vehicle, as well as financing of the, charging stations. Okay, public charging stations.
Okay.
So for that, all the public and private interest groups, maybe public or private company, they have to go to the same website and they have to read the instructions and they have to apply, and then there will be allocation by the Ministry of Heavy Industry.
Okay.
And when you get the allocation, you have to also show that you have got tied up with land, or you have tied up with the electricity board. Okay, you have tied up with the municipality. You have to show those documents and then submit to the Ministry of Heavy Industry, and then you have to get the allocation, the permission from the heavy industries. After that only you will get the subsidy. Not subsidy, the financing. So this can be a very good business opportunity in future for people who want to get into this area. Yes.
Yeah, very good.
So here this is both for hybrid and electric vehicle. Hybrid means it can run on petrol, diesel, as well as electric. This is also covered.
Yeah.
So this is FAME 1. This is FAME 2.
Yeah.
As you see, 10,000 crores, FAME 2, for a period of 3 years from 142019 extended.
Yeah.
So fund will be used for subsidizing 5 lakh three-wheelers, 10 lakh or 1 million two-wheelers, 55,000 e-cars, 7090 buses. This is the plan.
Very nice, very nice. So is this model applicable to across all states or very few states?
Across all states. Across all states.
Yes. Oh, okay. Very nice. Actually, there is a huge potential is there. Three-wheeler. People, they may not be able to invest because if you speak to any driver, they may be having some issue like initial capital and all those things. Probably that will help them to start the electric.
So there is a need for educating the stakeholders into the benefits and how well we can also help them in getting the approval for the funding and what technical reports we can generate for setting up the charging station. So charging station cost is around 1.2 crores. Minimum if you take 6 guns, so 20 lakhs per gun. So maybe 1 to 1.5 crore might be the initial investment. This is excluding land. And maybe you might have to set up a step down transformer depending on the power availability nearby. So that also has to be invested in.
Okay. So I think we got a fair idea. And anything, sir, the time is actually,
FAME 2, this is all You see, there are two companies which are very well in operation. These are public sector. So one is this REIL, Rajasthan Electronics and Instruments, Jaipur. This is, another company is there, where NTPC and other Ministry of Power companies, they have formed a joint venture for the NCR region. Then Mahindra Reva Electric, you remember Reva was the first electric car in India, which was, and a few cars were made for Bangalore region. Even in Bangalore, you can see those cars, and they are setting up fast charging infrastructure in Bangalore. So now amendments have been made. Now in the residential complex, you have to keep 20% for EV charging infrastructure. So amendments have been made by the Housing and Urban Development Ministry. Then Oil Ministry also has made an amendment that if you want to, sell a petrol, and if your turnover is 2.5 billion, then you have to compulsorily set up a station for alternate fuel. It could be CNG, it could be LNG or EV charging. So the existing pumps who are having that turnover, or the companies, company-owned petrol pumps, they have to actually go in for EV charging infrastructure compulsorily. Now, this is the plan of rollout. So, given by the Ministry of Power. Why Ministry of Power? Because, power availability will have a big role to play in the operation of the charging infrastructure on a continuous basis. So, they are saying phase 1 in mega cities and connected highways, and phase 2 will be in all the state capitals. So here the main thing is there will be no licensing required for setting up the charging station, and some specifications are there.
So is over, sir? This can we?
It's over now. We can. I think I will stop share. So we have the meeting also.